It's unclear why her security guard didn't restrain the man after pushing him off.
We know why this happened. You didn't watch the hour-long 1 million view video of Emiru talking about it?
Every single person that registered for the event had to go through this background check security review.
That's the problem, because the +1s weren't being vetted properly.
The day after the Emiru incident, I was struck by the surveillance of it all.
Who gives a how good the security was after the person got assaulted? That's a response.
He was able to, cut across some lines, but people cut across lines. That doesn't inherently mean that they're going to violate someone.
Yeah, he cut across some lines. I feel like that's a non-explicit sweep.
This is a Twitch culture issue. Rape culture and hyper-misogyny are rampant on the platform from top to bottom.
I don't think that she cares about anything she's saying. Why didn't you press Dan Clancy? He's the creator of the culture. You had a fucking interview with him. These videos are so poorly structured and they don't know what they're doing. It always misses the mark when it tries to do anything. All right. Taylor Lorenz posted another video about the TwitchCon situation. We watched the last one, the Dan Clancy conversation. It was pretty terrible. The audio was bad. He coughed a lot. And also it was just him deflecting and Taylor not really pushing back. Then she makes this video, which seems to be more aggressive against Twitch, although I feel like you should have said something in person. But it almost immediately, because I watched the first minute, I was like, I don't know if I want to watch this. But I saw something in there, the first minute that was like, wow, this is kind of pathetic. Made me want to watch. So, let's get this going.
It's not just that there's no deterrent to this behavior.
Oh yeah, by the way, it's called TwitchCon showed the internet's real problem. Whoa.
It's not just that there's no deterrent to this behavior, but it's actually rewarded by the platform and socially by other men.
True.
Last weekend,
imagine you push back.
And popular cosplay Twitch streamer Emiru was assaulted at a meet and greet during TwitchCon. A man cut across several meet and greet lines and attempted to grab her for a kiss as she tried to push him away. Her security guard quickly intervened and pushed the man off, but the man exited the building and was never restrained. The incident was obviously a catastrophic failure when it comes to keeping women creators safe. The man should have never been allowed to walk away after what he did, and it's unclear why her security guard didn't restrain the man after pushing him off.
That's what really pissed me off. Because Taylor Lorenz is somebody who likes to say that she's a reporter and that she does all the fact digging and all the information digging and all the this and all the that. And hey, guys, I'm informed and I'm a reporter and I'm a journalist and I'm real. 38 seconds into your video, and you decide to not be informed, despite the fact that it is almost impossible to not be informed on this talking point. Not only do you sit on Twitter all fucking day, but Emiru made a response where she explained why that happened. That came out a week before this. It's 5 days old. It has 1 million views. And she quite literally explains that something like this happened a year or two ago where somebody else did a similar thing to her, and her favorite bodyguard, who was banned from that event, who's now banned from the event, held the person that attacked her, and that's why they banned her. They banned her favorite bodyguard when this happened. Excuse me. They banned her favorite bodyguard from holding the person that tried to attack her at a previous TwitchCon event for holding that person. So when you're like, I wonder why this happened. We know why this happened. How do you? And I find it impossible that you're not aware of it. I don't understand how you're not aware of it. Either you. I don't get it. You're supposed to be a journalist. You didn't watch the hour-long 1 million view video of Emiru talking about it? That's if you're going to watch anything, it's 48 minutes. If you're going to watch anything, it would be this video. It's crazy. But Twitch has made a pretty harsh stance that they will punish people that aggress onto other people at their events. I just find that to be preposterous. Wild.
It's also unclear why TwitchCon security or the police on the scene didn't step in and attempt to halt the man from leaving.
Well, because they are probably a similar thing, because people apparently get punished for trying to do the right thing.
The man was eventually caught hours after the incident, and Emiru is currently pressing charges.
Only after Emiru's manager had to harass TwitchCon into doing something. They didn't even check in on her afterwards.
She said, quote, "He was allowed to walk away from my meet and greet, and I didn't hear he was caught until hours after he attacked me. It felt like this only happened because of my manager pressing for it, not because TwitchCon staff present thought it was a big deal."
And by the way, Taylor, in her interview with Dan Clancy, talked about how secure the event was. I can't believe people are saying stuff like that. Unless there's an apology in this video, then it's very clear to me that she's just reacting in a way that she feels like is just like, oh, this is the right narrative or something. I wouldn't even understand that. You have to, like, you pushed like, oh yeah, everything was so secure. You said that in your conversation with Dan Clancy.
All of this has raised
that you posted like a couple days ago
tons of questions about security protocols at TwitchCon and what should be done going forward to make the convention more safe.
This is the part that fucking I love this about her former video.
At TwitchCon. Why should, I guess, streamers trust Twitch to keep them safe at TwitchCon? Because I feel like simultaneously this has been such a secure event to the point that even like journalists have had struggled. Like, you know, it is very secure.
I just don't understand how you could say that if somebody got assaulted.
You know, here's this man that just walks up and is somehow able to bypass.
Okay, I just don't understand. Like, to me, it's not you had trouble getting in and stuff. That's what it sounds like. So you thought it was a really secure event. Okay, I don't know. It comes off as dismissive, especially since like right before that she was talking about how much of a parasocial bond people had with streamers, and then like Emiru got attacked because of that in some capacity, and it feels a little bit like victim blaming, and like it feels a little bit like an escape, like you're kind of like hopping out.
Even before TwitchCon began this year, high-profile streamers including Cutie Cinderella, Valkyrie, and others declined to attend the event over safety concerns. After the Emiru incident, tons of big content creators began piling on Twitter, pushing out of context clips attempting to show lax security at the event and calling for Twitch CEO Dan Clancy's resignation.
What? Out of context clips? Like what? What are you talking about?
Of course, most of these people actually don't give a shit about women's safety. They're just opportunists, and we're going to get into all that.
Hey guys, the people that are criticizing it are just opportunists. I love the narrative.
But why am I talking about all of this on Free Speech Friday? I think it's a good example of how more surveillance and security theater doesn't inherently keep people safe.
Okay. The security guards were clearly incompetent, and you have a person, Dan Clancy, who sets a stage for people to not care about violating people's boundaries. That's what I'm seeing. That's what I think it is.
And I think it shows the significant barriers women face as content creators and how relentless abuse and harassment silences women and prevents them from speaking out and expressing themselves. To discuss all of this, I have Kat Tenbarge here. Kat is one of the top journalists covering gender-based harassment and abuse. Wow. And today we're going to break down exactly what went down at TwitchCon, why you shouldn't listen to a lot of the loudest voices online, and what can actually be done to keep women safe on the internet and off. Kat, welcome.
Thanks so much for having me.
So you weren't at TwitchCon. I wish you were there. But
no, probably not somebody to talk to then.
I feel like just to start off, I want to give people a sense of what TwitchCon was like. And then I kind of want to compare it to other conventions that you and I have both been at. Because I feel like we both cover these large events and conventions a lot and attend this stuff. So I think a lot of people have seen a lot of misinformation going around. And I want to explain kind of the way things went down. So I would say this security at this convention was stricter than any other convention I've been to. And we'll get into why.
Clearly it's not. Because that happened. If it was stricter, that wouldn't have happened.
That doesn't make things safer. But it was very strict in the sense that like you had to have a wristband, you had to scan in to get to different areas. They were very strict about maintaining that. There was this video online that
but if they're not gonna, if they don't have any like meaningful enforcement metrics, that would be the issue. Is that they're not actually meaningfully enforcing any of their policies. They're like, hey, you're going to have this to go here, but then their security guards are completely inactive in doing anything.
That claimed to show someone bypassing the wrist scanning system. In fact, that's not what that video shows. I reached out to the company about how those machines work. That video actually shows the person scanning and it turning orange, which meant that that person was a credentialed +1. So it actually showed the system working.
But that's the problem, because the +1s weren't being vetted properly. If you watched Emiru's video, you would realize that people were allowed to go there and they were vetted when they would go there, but they were allowed to bring a +1, some people. I think that's in the VIP specific area. If you watch Emiru's video, she talks about how those people weren't background checked. You're missing context here. Maybe she'll bring it up in a second.
But it was pretty intense. I mean, I couldn't even get into the venue when I got there the first day.
Dude, she's completely ignoring it. Do you realize that she doesn't know anything about the situation in a meaningful, deep capacity? She doesn't even know about that. She doesn't even know that they weren't vetting the people that had +1s. So this is the response after Emiru was assaulted.
Like, no one cares about online. We are coordinating with the impacted creators team, that's true, and per our standard protocols, continue to cooperate with any law enforcement investigations. We've increased security at the meet and greet attendee check-in point, and we'll have additional security personnel surrounding participating streamers. If you've RSVP'd for a meet and greet, please know that we're unable to accommodate +1s for the remainder of the event. You know why they said that? they only thought about that because of Melissa, my manager. She said, "Were you vetting people coming through the line?" They said, "Oh yeah, everyone had to sign up, and they get background checks, but they're allowed to bring a +1." Well, are there +1s background checked? No.
There you go. I feel like that should have been said the second that came up. Maybe she'll bring it up later. I don't know.
Initially, because I hadn't passed a background check, and every single venue when I got there the first day initially, because I hadn't passed a background check, and every single person that registered for the event had to go through this like background check security review, essentially to make sure that they weren't on a known stalker list or had sort of criminal records, things like that. So I do think that it was very quote unquote secure, even more so than any other convention that I've been to, where I think
she didn't. Dude, this is mind-boggling. This is mind-boggling. She wants to be a journalist, but she can't even watch the 48-minute long video that Emiru put out herself. Yeah, they had this really deep background check. It sucked. If you had a +1 to the event, they didn't get background checked. Why don't you know this? This video has 1 million fucking views from Emiru. All you had to do, somehow, I am more informed on the situation than you are. Because I am a fat person who plays a video game while listening to other people talk. And I've been able to come up with more information about this, relevant information, than you have. This is insane. This is fucking insane. Holy fuck.
Journalists and a lot of people have a lot more free roam. I was in the content creator space myself with Twitch comms down there, and I saw people even getting stopped, featured creators being stopped and asked questions and things like that. I'm curious, your perception from the outside. I'm sure you've seen a lot of the discourse online, but how would you say it compared?
I think she's only looking at articles and Twitter responses, not videos. She should have watched. Yeah, of course, she wants to be a fucking journalist. Of course, she should have watched it. Her video's terrible so far. We're 4 minutes in.
2 other conventions from what you saw.
I think just from a technological perspective alone, there were more measures in place at this convention than any other convention that I've ever been to. And that includes conventions for YouTube. It includes VidCon and Play.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how many nice things that they implement if they're not actually going to enforce it. That's the problem here.
List live, as well as anime and comic cons and other types of conventions, even concerts and stuff. You have seen sort of this industry of security technology grow. And this to me is sort of looking at sort of what I was just seeing in viral videos. I'm they don't usually have this type of stuff at these types of venues.
Yeah, the whole energy was very kind of tense around it. I mean, there were these big female streamers that chose not to go because of concerns around safety.
Well, yeah, a lot of that was because of what happened with Charlie Kirk, so.
It had the vibe to me of VidCon after the Christina Grimmie murder, where this YouTuber was murdered by a fan, and YouTube and VidCon really cracked down the next year, where they sort of started to realize, we really need to protect talent. It was significantly more secure than certainly Playlist Live, which we were both at a while ago. And I'm just speaking purely from influencer events, because I think that those are that sort of engender a certain type of fandom. It was the most secure, quote unquote, influencer event that I've been at. When I toured Twitch's security center the day after the Emiru incident, I was struck by the surveillance of it all. First of all, not only did they have police
the day after?
When I toured Twitch's security center the day after the Emiru incident, I was struck by the surveillance of it all. First of all,
okay. What I'm hearing here is sweep, 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 sweep. I've never seen a woman this good at sweeping before. Who gives a fuck? Who gives a fuck how good the security was after the person got assaulted? That's a response. That's a response. That's a response to somebody getting harmed at the event that I doubt they would have given a fuck about unless that guy's video went viral of him recording the situation. Who cares about what their response is after the fact? This is crazy to me. This is fucking it's honestly, it's fucking crazy to me. It's like, so what a sweep. What a fucking sweep, dude. This is ridiculous.
Not only did they have police officers, plainclothes officers, like constantly, throughout the venue, and security officers all over, but they had just this huge surveillance infrastructure. So they had
wow, really? After the fact?
92 cameras set up in addition to all the security cameras in every single corner of the convention hall. And then they had every single live streamer. If you went live from TwitchCon, they had your stream pulled up.
Whoa.
Basically like
really after everything happened to Emiru. He was walking around for 4. This wasn't even after it happened to her. This was after they decided to care about it because the manager pushed them so hard, which is a good thing.
Fenced the whole area and like pulled in every single stream on these massive like 1984 style monitors where they had, I literally think it was probably thousands of streams. Shit. Every single stream had like the person's name, whether they were partnered or not, like some information, and then just like the videos playing. And then they had dozens and dozens of analysts like sitting around analyzing, replaying footage, looking at people. I don't know if they were doing facial recognition or not, but it was certainly like they were zooming in on things, looking at social, monitoring it all.
None of this matters. Oh, he saw it. Excuse me. None of this matters. None of it. It doesn't matter what their response was after she was already attacked.
What struck me is that like they had said.
Why do I think she's lying so hard for Twitch? I don't know if she. I don't know. I think that she likes Hassan a lot. I think that she likes Hassan a lot or something. I don't really get it. I don't understand why somebody like Taylor Lorenz wants to be some kind of an influencer slash journalist would go out of her way to destroy her credibility. I don't get it, because when I see Twitch, I see a platform that doesn't care to try to make women comfortable. They just don't care, because they don't. And what I mean is, more than anything else, they don't try to make women feel comfortable making consuming content on the platform. They don't seem to be interested in making women comfortable to consume the content, because that's what's going to change the platform and make it safer. Right now, if you want to be somebody on Twitch, you're pretty much going to have to play the game, and what that means is you're going to have to like appeal to a bunch of dudes. So like it puts you in a situation where you kind of have to flaunt yourself in a way where you may not want to if you want to maintain success on Twitch, because it's not a comfortable place for like a lot of women or like a diversity, a large diverse audience of women to go on there and to consume the content. So it gets you audience captured by men. That's like the biggest issue more than anything else there.
Essentially deputize these live streamers, IRL streamers, which are primarily men, to like go around and surveil the convention. And the argument was sort of, well, look, we have so much surveillance footage. This is how, like, this gives us extra monitoring. And it just, of course, showed to me, of course, surveillance does not mean safety. It just means more surveillance.
You just said that they deputized a bunch of streamers to go around and keep the events wait, hold on. What is your narrative here then? Are you telling me that they were just watching other people's streams as a way to monitor the event?
Especially when the people doing the surveillance are these troll live streamers. I think that was a huge difference.
I don't know if she's lying at all. I think she's just not good at the journalist in a lot of ways, but I watched this video and it seems like she means well. I disagree. I think the expectation I'm holding her to is to watch the statement from the streamer herself that was aggressed onto. I don't think I'm setting her to a particularly high standard. I think that that's a pretty low standard. So, like, if she didn't do the proper research for it, I feel like that, like, why? What are you doing? She's not making an offhanded, unmeaningful, like, commentary video about the situation. She had time to prepare this. It doesn't make any sense. Why wouldn't she get that? She knows about it. Why wouldn't she get that? It seems like she's trying to sweep for Dan Clancy for some reason.
Between this convention and other conventions that I've been at as well, aside from maybe 2015 VidCon, or maybe it was 2016 when Meerkat, remember like Meerkat and Periscope and everything came out? That was a year like a lot of people were live streaming, not in the same way. This was like true 1984 style. Like every single person was live streaming, and the convention was overrun with these IRL streamers, which is a category that has skyrocketed over the past year.
Yes, like this culture of IRL streaming, I think it's so important to point out that it is not done with like women's safety as like an interest. In fact, it's oftentimes the exact opposite. So much of this type of streaming and what you see succeed on this platform and elsewhere is actually just like harassing women, which is a really interesting juxtaposition with like, we need more surveillance, when so often surveillance in itself is to the detriment of like women and marginalized people.
Yeah, exactly.
Wait, what?
Often surveillance in itself is to the detriment of like
the surveillance itself is a detriment?
Is actually just like harassing women, which is...
I mean, it sounds like she's saying the content is harassing women. I agree with that. Okay, so maybe they're tying the surveillance to the actual streaming of the content, and they're saying that the increased surveillance is actually not good for people in a way because the platforms incentivize harassment of people. Is that what they're trying to say?
It's a really interesting juxtaposition with like, we need more surveillance, when so often surveillance in itself is to the detriment of like women and marginalized people.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I was struck when I was looking at this giant tile of like screens and streams is that they were on mute. You know, I'm sure that you could click in and hear what was being said if you wanted to zoom in on certain people. But to me, it seemed very the sort of surveillance was optimized for like physical security rather than the type of security that I would argue matters.
What you're saying is just dumb. I don't know how to contest this. The physical security is what matters. It's not security to watch people's... It's okay, it is part of security to watch people's streams who are live streaming the event. But it's not enough. And the issue here... Oh, I'm going to die. Holy fuck. The issue here is that they literally didn't react to the guy attacking Emiru. That's physical security. What are you talking about? That's the problem. The physical security is the problem. They didn't do anything about people getting attacked at the event. The security didn't physically stop them. What are you talking about?
A lot as well, which is like, it is related to physical security, but it is like, you know, the hate and harassment and abuse. And we'll get into that. So let's talk about the Emiru situation, because I think this was the most clear security breach. Like, I just want to be clear. I'll say it again. I think this was such a catastrophic failure. It was horrible what happened to her. It was completely unacceptable. It's a nightmare. I've been assaulted on the job before. It's awful. I completely empathize with what the sort of the threats.
I don't think you do. If you actually, it sounds like what you're saying is you care a lot. But if you cared a lot, then why are you lying so much? I don't think that you would lie. I don't think that you would, if you actually cared and actually empathized with this girl, I would imagine that you would be like, you know what would be really useful? If I actually watched her response. Oh shit.
That people like her.
I would have watched, if I actually cared about her, I would have watched her response. I don't think that that's unreasonable.
Have to deal with the fact that she was assaulted and it was her security guard that stepped in and not Twitch's security or the police that were around, that Twitch's security and the police just let him walk out of the venue was absurd. I think.
Yeah, because there's a physical security issue. Well, I don't know. Does she not know how to form like? Okay. I
think talent probably should have been behind tables with security guards on each side. That's what they do for a lot of big celebrities.
He walked up to her across like a bunch of ropes. I don't think that they necessarily needed like okay. I think that it was more about the non-response from people doing anything. I mean, sure, I guess it could have been more secure if they did that, but like that's like such a small thing compared to the real problem, which is that they literally didn't step in. Nobody cared. This isn't an instance where somebody walked up and then all the security guards swarmed in and were like, oh, you can't do that. The security guards did not care. They just didn't care.
Like Comic-Con and other events. When I did my book tour, I had to be behind a table at public events because I had so many threats and people threatening to harm me. But it seemed like this was just like a massive lapse in, keeping women safe at the convention.
100%. And I also think that really goes to show, and this is reflective of just like policing and security in general, but this rhetoric that like men in the vicinity will protect women, this is a perfect example of why that is not the case.
They were paid to. The men were paid to protect women.
It was her personal security guard who stepped in, but you do have all of these men who are tasked with security standing around who just did not intervene, and that is not irregular. Like,
I feel like it is irregular. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. I don't think is really?
That is a reflection of what happens when women go to the police and report that they have been assaulted or that.
No, I think you guys are thinking way too much into this.
They are being harassed. Like,
this is not a situation of like, hey, a woman goes to the police and says that she was being harassed and the police fail and don't do enough. That's not what this is. This is a situation where some form of security or police watched her get fucking assaulted and they did nothing about it. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't think that that's the issue. Okay, people are definitely skeptical of people making accusations. There's no accusation here. It happened on camera in front of a bunch of people. This is not a comparative situation. This isn't comparative. This is not a comparative thing where it's like, yeah, I think the fact that a bunch of security guards didn't do a goddamn thing or even check in to see if she was okay after she was assaulted by this guy, I think that's just kind of indicative of the system at hand. No, it's not. The issue with the system is that people, like police officers, just won't believe people when it's happening. This is not a fundamental problem of the security doing nothing. If you assault somebody in front of a police officer, they're going to stop it. The skepticism is the issue. Right, so this woman was assaulted in front of police. Why are we trying to play these like over intellectualized games here? It's not that deep. They just failed to do their fucking job.
It is not taken seriously. And I think that this just really does go to show why putting people in these positions, like men protecting women, it doesn't play out in real life. If anything, putting more men, more security in the situation can become more of a danger to women because you can't necessarily trust those specific individuals who have been tasked with like security.
I was so appalled.
Okay.
When I heard that Emiru said that they were like laughing or sort of laughing off the incident.
You heard it, or did you see that being said by her? Did you watch what she had to say?
Like, I can understand.
Where did you hear that? Did you hear it from here? What the fuck?
Why
the fuck is this not playing?
Security guards joking and laughing and be like, oh, I didn't even see what happened.
Sorry.
And I really feel like I was treated like cattle or merchandise. Because why is no one there making sure I'm safe like a person? Why are the security guards joking and laughing and be like, oh, I didn't even see what happened?
The moment she's referencing is 36 minutes into the video after like all the information I chastised Taylor for not knowing was said. So did somebody you know watch the video and they made an offhand comment about it? Did she actually watch the video? This is insane.
She was laughing because she has been through trauma, and often the trauma response would be to kind of like laugh it off and downplay it. But the people around her should.
Did she just? She read an article. This is what she's putting on the screen.
Would be to kind of like laugh it off and downplay it. Like, I can said that they were like laughing, or I was so appalled when I heard that Emiru said that they were like laughing or
the security
laughing off the incident. Like, I can understand if she was.
This is what she's referencing. So all Taylor might have done was maybe read Emiru's post on the situation, but nothing else, nothing in depth. What I find so funny is that like it literally in this thing, I'm assuming that's the only thing that she read, Emiru's Twitter post, she says, I have a lot more I want to say, but I will say it in a stream later on instead of writing a book here because it was already so long. I almost guarantee that Taylor Lorenz only read the actual Twitter post and never actually watched the fucking video that was like definitely more relevant to watch.
Was laughing because she has been through trauma, and often the trauma response would be to kind of like laugh it off.
Sure, but you don't really seem to care, so
off and downplay it.
Because you didn't even watch her fucking 48-minute long response.
But the people around her should have recognized how egregious and terrifying that was.
I'm not falling for the virtue signal. I don't think that I can ever believe that Taylor cares about this when she didn't even do like the bare minimum and like watch the girl's response. And
there's a few things that happen too that I think show why more security does not mean more safety. First of all, this man,
because the security there is fucking pathetic. That's what it is. There's no deep, nuanced conversation now. They were pathetic. They didn't do their job, and Twitch is open to a lawsuit because they provide security and they weren't actually providing security. Right? They had security there saying that hey, we are going to take it upon ourselves to make sure you're protected, but they didn't actually protect her, and nobody gave a fuck afterwards. This is a negligence lawsuit at the very least. And this should be something that she pushes for. There should be a big lawsuit here. This is pretty disgusting against Twitch for failure to do anything. They didn't even hit a reasonable expectation of what they were supposed to do here. That's what needs to happen.
And who assaulted her was not a known entity. He wasn't on her like stalkers list. You know, this was just a bad actor who went through the security checks. He didn't have, you know, seemingly any sort of record that would have been flagged. He was able to buy a ticket. He was able to, cut across some lines, but people cut across lines. That doesn't inherently mean that they're going to like violate someone.
What? That's a sweep. Yeah, he cut across some lines. That doesn't inherently mean you're going to violate someone? No, it doesn't. But if I'm a security guard, I'm watching for people doing shit like that. because me not watching people do shit like that is creating an atmosphere where we don't actually enforce our rules. And since this probably is the same vibe as multiple other Twitch cons, people know they can go in there and cause fucking problems. Why would you say, like, to me, that's just such a stupid thing to say. Yeah, just because they do this, what are you talking about? Just because they cut the line doesn't really mean. He's going across barriers. But this is a warning sign. This is a warning sign to anybody that's like, so this guy's up to something suspicious. We got to keep an eye on him. Hey, you can't be doing that. You start yelling at him. Like, what are you talking about? I just feel like that's a sweep. I feel like that's like a non-explicit sweep. It's just the downplaying of like tons of different things.
I think the point is that, like, he had a badge. He was a registered ticket holder. He had every right. Say he had waited in line to do that. You know, that would have been just as bad. I don't
Nope. The issue isn't that the issue is they didn't do anything. They didn't do anything. What are you talking? I don't know. Okay, whatever.
think you can know people's intention. And that's what's so scary, right? Is that, like, somebody could just wait in line and have the intention to harass or attack a woman, and they could do that, right?
Yes. And I even saw someone.
But that's not really relevant to what we're talking about because there was complete inaction. If you want to play the nuanced game, again, this guy piled through the line and went up and assaulted her, and then there was no response from Twitch. If this is what they do this year, this is how they operated last year, and the year before that, and the year before that, and the year before that, and the year before that. That's what they did. Okay? This is a constant trend of the Twitch security existing just to stand around and not actually being effective. That's what it communicates to me. And if you're going to create an atmosphere like that, where you're not going to actually do anything, people are going to violate the boundaries of what can be done. That's the nuance here. Not what you guys are talking about isn't really relevant. The nuance here is that this is a consistent pattern of neglectful behavior, and you don't want to acknowledge that because you're like, "Whoa, why didn't they restrain the guy?" Because Emiru's fucking favorite security guard got that happened to him. Like, he got banned from the event because he restrained, like, her stalker, or what the fuck are we talking about here? What?
One suggest that, like, as an increased measure of security, they could have, like, a security guard walk each individual person up to do the meet and greet. But again, would that have stopped him from assaulting her? No. And I feel like,
I mean, if he got hit, it would have stopped this. It definitely would have stopped something.
like, this also sort of, like, reflects this kind of underlying desire to control other people and to be able to, like, predict when someone is going to become violent, like, to be able to respond.
So just to be absolutely clear, I just did a simple Google search. It says, did Emiru's attacker have a badge? The man who assaulted Twitch streamer Emiru at TwitchCon did not have a badge or official credentials. He was a fan who bypassed security barriers and accosted her during a meet and greet. I'm not a journalist. I'm a Googler. This seems like it'd be relevant for this thing. Here's another Google search. It says, do you need a badge to do a meet and greet at a TwitchCon? Yes, you need a badge to attend any official TwitchCon event, including meet and greets. I've done more. I've seemed to have done more research here by Googling than you've done for your video. And by the way, this is also a good point. Emiru has stated that Twitch's claim that the attacker was immediately caught and detained was a blatant lie, and that he only was only apprehended hours after the manager pressed for action. That isn't presented here. This is fucking crazy. I'm a fat guy playing a fucking video game in the middle, and I'm somehow able to do more research than you guys. Like, this is the biggest problem with Taylor Lorenz, is she likes to play a game. The game that she plays when she does content, I don't fucking get it, because it's ADHD. I have ADHD, okay? I'm allowed to say it. Right? She goes into a video. She usually defends somebody like Hassan or Dan Clancy or Twitch for some reason. And then she tries to use the event as an opener to have a conversation about something related but not fully relevant. So in the Hassan video, it's like, hey guys, Hassan actually didn't shock his dog, even though we see fucking evidence of it. And then she wants to have a conversation about surveillance and how clips can be used out of context to push narratives. There's a way that you could structure a video like that, I understand. It's the same thing as this. Hey, Emiru was attacked at Twitch. We're going to sweep for Dan Clancy. And then we want to have a conversation fundamentally about, I guess, feminism in a way where, like, just because men are around doesn't mean that they're going to uphold the protection of women. If you were going to create these videos, first of all, you need to be honest about what's happening. Hassan did probably shock his dog, and the TwitchCon event was a complete fucking disaster when it came to their security and the actual implementation of it. But the way that you would structure this video is you would start off with talking about the topic. You would talk about it honestly by actually researching it, by, you know, listening to the woman who was assaulted at the event, which you refused to do, or you just couldn't comprehend what was being said somehow. I don't really know what it is. But you get the facts right. You would talk about it. You would talk about the failures of it. And then after you've satisfied what happened towards the end of the video, even if it's half of the video, you would now say, we're going to have a fundamental conversation of things about things like this. These videos are so poorly structured and they don't know what they're doing. They're just they're just a mushy mix of disinformation, in my opinion, or misinformation. I'm actually going to just think that she's incompetent. I don't think that she's intentionally, I don't really know. This is a mix of poor information and trying to have a conversation about a social issue that doesn't really work with the way that you're talking about it. The structure doesn't really make sense. Like, it always misses the mark when it tries to do anything. There's no organization, there's no cohesion, there's no proper structure. It doesn't know what it's doing. These are basically like really poorly constructed video essays. Again, presentation of the situation, accurately and honestly talking about the situation, and then you have a conversation about the fundamentals that is connected. Emiru was attacked. This is where they failed. This was really fucked up. Let's have a fundamental conversation about how, you know, streaming spaces aren't good for women in some ways, and a bunch of men being around doesn't mean that a woman's going to be protected. That's how you would do the structure of it. But this is just a mess. This video is a mess. Yeah, it feels like it's gossip over journalism.
Onto things in advance of them happening, which at a very basic level just is not possible. And I think a lot of people's reaction of like, we need more security, we need like more people out there. I understand where it comes from. It comes from like a primal fear of not being able to know when you're in danger and not being able to like keep yourself out of danger.
This guy bypassed security though.
100% of the time, which is also where security theater comes from.
I mean, I just think, like you said,
Yeah, that's okay. The security theory comes from them not implementing any actual things.
it's so scary because I think there were tables available for the creators. Most creators stand in front. They're incentivized to give their fans hugs. When I talk to other creators about like, hey, why weren't you behind a table with 2 security guards? They're like, well, my fans want to take selfies. Like, influencers especially are encouraged, and both of us have written so much about this, like encouraged to develop these parasocial fandoms.
Do you guys hear what's happening? Yeah, Twitch should probably implement something where people stand behind a table. It's more safe and secure. I agree with that. But the creators don't want to do that because their fans want to hug them all the time. And there's this parasocial behavior that blah, 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 blah. Hey, here's a consideration that maybe it's not Twitch's fault and maybe it's actually the creator's fault. Like, that's what I'm hearing. And I don't think it's dishonest to hear that, because this is a sweep video. This is doing its best to try to kind of play like almost that Overton window and see if how much accountability they can assert onto the creator that was attacked rather than to the TwitchCon event itself. Yeah, we're going to bring up that the people at Twitch, like, yeah, the security guards didn't really do anything. And then we're going to kind of like constantly play these games. This is a video that way people that don't really care and don't care to actually explore the meaning of what she's saying or what she's saying behind the meaning that she's saying, that's for them. This is for them. It's for people that like aren't really have particularly high critical thought, in my opinion.
You seem inaccessible. I mean, look at the response to Cutie Cinderella and the other female streamers that decided not to go. They were lambasted and dragged through the mud. Caroline Kwan,
who shit on them for that?
Had a security guard with her, and people were attacking her and criticizing her, like, oh, who do you think you are? You know, you need security. Like, yes, she does.
Okay.
I was even nervous myself. I had 2 men travel to TwitchCon specifically to confront me, you know, because of some beef that they have perceived, you know, with me and some streamer. I have no streamer beef, but like...
That's not the same thing as you getting... Emiru getting assaulted, by the way. Somebody wanted to approach you because you're a dishonest journalist. Oh, okay. Yeah, that's definitely the same.
You know, whatever, because I'm talked about on these people's channels. I have a very well-known stalker who constantly tries to attend events that I'm at. Like, I had to be escorted out of a VidCon panel a couple years ago by 4 security guards. Right after the panel, I wasn't even allowed to at the front of VidCon that year because I had a streamer fan actually threatening to assault me. And like,
that's crazy. That's terrible.
Like I said, I have been assaulted on the job. So I just say all that to say that like you and I both know what it's like.
I want to believe that, but it's hard to when you seem to have very little consideration for her getting attacked, for Emiru getting attacked here.
Not to mention all the harassment that we receive online. Like we know what it's like to suffer this sort of gender-based violence. And I think that like, if we want to talk about what keeps women safe, it's not just like more cops standing around doing nothing. Like that is not.
So what is it? It's when they actually take action.
Going to prevent this stuff. It's not more like face scanning or whatever. It is fundamentally changing the culture of what's permissible and acceptable.
How do you do that? How do you do that? By having the security guards take action when somebody's rights are violated. They are not doing that. If they're not doing it this time, they weren't doing it times before that. This is where the video misses. It's like it doesn't know what it's saying. How do you change the culture? Can you give us don't just tell me what you think the problem is. Tell me what you think the solution is.
Because that man knew that he could walk up, do that, and walk out. And
that man knew that he could go into that event without the badge that he was supposed to have by bypassing security and then barrel through a bunch of shit to go and attack her. You even said that him barreling through things wasn't necessarily an indication that he was going to assault somebody. That's a problem. A security guard should be like, hey, this is an indication that they might assault somebody. Your own, like, you would be part of the problem when it came to these.
He was right. Look at some of the other appalling behavior that we saw at TwitchCon, where these IRL streamers were raiding women.
And why did it happen? Because the Twitch security didn't do anything.
Degrading women, harassing and abusing women. We had featured creators like Neon, right, saying the most misogynistic stuff, harassing women. These are partnered content creators, right? These are people that Twitch has, like, given the seal of approval to.
Yeah, these are people, like, I think about how Neon has, like, a publicist, and
Okay, so Dan Clancy, the guy that says he cares. Why didn't you push back against Dan Clancy then? This is 8 hours old. I don't understand. Like, yes, I agree that there is a toxic narrative around what's going on, where they enable this type of harassment on other people. I agree with that. That needs to also be changed, on top of having their security actually do something.
I've received PR pitches over the past week, like, do you want to interview this guy?
He was with Iggy Azalea.
Exactly. And it's like, this to me echoes so many of the issues that people don't take seriously. People don't take gendered violence seriously in general. And there's this
Taylor Lorenz doesn't take it seriously in general. She didn't even watch Emiru's response to getting attacked.
Idea that like online harassment, which directly escalates and leads to these incidences, is not taken seriously, and this idea that like police protect women, which is just so far removed from reality, which is that actually like police endanger women.
One Twitch streamer,
I don't know if I'd go that far, but okay,
that I spoke to about this incident gave me a quote that I've been thinking about a lot. And he said, what happened at TwitchCon was to a very significant degree unavoidable, not because there weren't enough barriers to accessing VIPs, checkpoints, or staff training, but because this is a Twitch culture issue. Rape culture and hyper-misogyny are rampant on the platform from top to bottom.
So then how long ago did you get this information, and why didn't you press Dan Clancy about this? There are so many problems here. I don't think that she cares about anything she's saying. Why didn't you press Dan Clancy? He's the creator of the culture. You had a fucking interview with him. Is this all fucking news to you? Like, have you not been aware of this? Why are you detaching Dan Clancy? He's like he's the leader of Twitch. He's the responsible for running it. You can't have this performative video where you pretend to fucking care while missing the mark over and over again, and then not push fucking CEO. What kind of journalist does that? What kind of journalist is like, yeah, you know, this business is fucking bullshit. There's so many problems with it, and it's really bad. And then you talk to the person who's in charge of it, and you are fucking crickets. How does that work? It doesn't make any sense. Like, with every single way that Taylor Lorenz interacts with the world, it just shows that she has like no meaningful credibility. Okay, this is just crazy.
Entire Discord and subreddits are dedicated to stalking and harassing women, POC, LGBTQ streamers.
I agree.
and subreddits are dedicated to stalking and harassing women, POC, LGBTQ streamers. There can't be safety for women at these events until the company takes their concerns seriously on the platform. I thought this was so true and accurate.
So then why didn't you press Dan Clancy?
I interviewed Dan Clancy at TwitchCon. I asked him about the Emiru incident. He gave, kind of a PR bullshit answer, but
dude, don't do that. Don't give me that bullshit. You didn't press him at all. Fuck off. That's bullshit, dude. You can't you didn't do anything to hold him to task on anything he said. You gave him an opportunity to say whatever he wanted to say, and you gave him no pushback.
I also asked him why there weren't more women streamers on the platform, and he didn't have a good response. And to me, I don't cover Twitch as much as I do other platforms, but that is
You talk about Hassan all the time.
in part because it is such a male-dominated space. It is a culture issue to me where if you look at the biggest creators on the platform, a lot of them are deeply, deeply misogynistic and hateful.
Like who? Can you give me some examples? Do you think Hassan might be one of them? Didn't Hassan deny rapes happen on October 7th?
And this culture pervades Twitch in a way that I don't think it pervades other platforms.
Actually, no, you're very weirdly wrong. I don't know. Maybe I guess you just don't really talk about online stuff very much or something. I don't know. Twitch is probably, arguably, like the second least problematic streaming service, and it's problematic. YouTube, I don't think has this widespread issue. There's not the same culture. Kick, worse. Rumble, worse. Oh, Facebook, I have no fucking idea. Probably worse. Who really knows? So when you say like, hey, Twitch is this unique issue, no, it's not. Like, you're not even informed of what you're talking about. Kick and Rumble are so much worse. And Twitch is still bad, and they should do something about it. But what are you talking about? You're just talking. Yeah, there's no other way, guys. There's really no other platform like this. What? So again?
And look at the biggest creators on the platform. A lot of them are deeply, deeply misogynistic and hateful. And this culture pervades Twitch in a way that I don't think it pervades other platforms.
What is her job to do? I don't understand. Like, you never seem to know what you're talking about. What the fuck are you talking about? What? What are you saying? Were you just talking? What?
100%. And it doesn't surprise me that you would see then like a heightened.
I don't understand. Like, why are you guys talking about this stuff? I don't get it. You don't think it's... What the fuck?
Sort of like safety
Maybe they... What?
concern for women on Twitch. It also makes me think about how, like, when I look at incidences at past conventions that I've been to, a lot of times it is featured creators who are being violent toward other featured creators, like oftentimes male creators being violent toward women. And this occurs like in the privacy of people's hotel rooms. This occurs like in VIP creator spaces. This occurs at after parties where only like featured creators are allowed to be. And the reason for that is because safety does not have to do with like who's allowed in what area or who has what wristband. Safety involves like cultural misogyny and the ability for men to be violent toward women and face zero repercussions. And when women come forward about these things, they are not taken seriously, and they're often punished more for speaking up than the men who actually assaulted them or harassed them are for doing these criminal acts.
I mean, I wouldn't doubt that at all. I think that that's probably true. Sure.
Yeah, I also just think about this stuff.
And I think that Taylor is part of the pipeline that punishes women for coming forward. If you can't even be bothered to watch Emiru's response to the situation, when you've been specifically covering her situation for your past few videos, I think that I think that there's something about you that maybe needs to do something else for a living. Because it doesn't add up to me at all. I truly don't understand that. It truly makes absolutely no fucking sense to me whatsoever. It really just doesn't add up. I don't think it adds up to anybody. None of this makes sense.
That happened around TwitchCon, because of course you had the convention itself, and then you have these parties. Now, previous TwitchCons, there have been people roofied at parties.
Keemstar admits mistake after streamer gets roofied. I don't even like that. I don't even like Keemstar, but that sounds like that title insinuates Keemstar did it. My understanding was that like somebody else was there, and that this title's really gross. Somebody, I don't know who. I don't think that Taylor wrote it. No, she didn't. It's some Patrick Kobeck or something. My understanding of that was that there was a guy there. I forget. Was it Only Use Me Blade? I don't even remember. And he was like taking people's drinks and drinking them. Because like he has an alcohol problem, and he took a bunch of girls' drinks, and it turned out some people were roofying those girls. And Keemstar's like, well, this is really fucked up. That was basically his official statement. This is like really fucked up and like a problem. But this title makes it seem like Keemstar did something wrong. TwitchCon 2019, Keemstar missed mistake after streamer gets roofied. Something like, I don't know. It was only Use Me Blade. Am I right about that? Okay.
Women have been assaulted. This year we had people like Jack Doherty, this like kick streamer, show up and start antagonizing, saying slurs, antagonizing people. There was all these.
And these are all people Dan Clancy wanted in the event because he didn't stop it.
Other sort of like kick streamers and people on Rumble. Rumble's a right-wing video platform. Kick is this sort of like content for moderation free, like, you know, streaming competitor to Twitch.
A guide to Trumpism's online universe from Kick to Rumble to True Social. Do you see this? This is an article that's basically, to me, asserting to some extent that Twitch and Rumble, or Kick and Rumble, are at least the same as Twitch. A guide to Trumpism's online universe. Somebody wrote this article. You said before that Twitch is like very exclusive about what's going on. Like this, it's very much of like a their problem. What? But it seems like, but this shows that like, oh, it's not just an exclusive Twitch problem. You're like, Twitch is like better than anybody else, worse than anybody else. That was like the mentality I got from it.
Which the creators on those platforms are some of the most toxic people on the internet. You also have people on Pump.fun live streaming, these crypto trolls that bought tickets that came in that even were antagonizing Dan Clancy, etc. And not antagonizing.
But don't you think that Dan Clancy deserves some level of antagonization? Not by them, but just in general. He's not doing anything to protect the women on their platform. Doesn't he deserve some kind of criticism? You fucking lightly tapped him with a napkin. Yeah, he gave like a PR answer. You were in the conversation with him. Why didn't you say something to him? What the fuck? What the hell is this?
I think Dan Clancy in a good way, right? Like not antagonizing him to make things safer, but in a negative way. And so I think it's just so hard as well because streaming culture rewards outrage. And I think a lot of these people have made a name for themselves online by going up and harassing women, attacking people, like being awful. And they can just buy tickets to this convention and get their content. They know that there will be these prominent women here who they can harass.
And so much of this stems from the objectification of women, which is a huge problem on Twitch because it reflects the broader trends of objectifying women in society. And so when I think about Twitch and its issues with women, I think also about things like community guidelines that patrol women's body parts, how that's been a really controversial issue on Twitch. And the way that the community often responds to these things is to further objectify women, to further sexualize women. And the problem is when men don't view women as equal to them, when they don't view them as people, when they do view them as these sexual objects, that is where this type of violence stems from. So you can't stop this type of violence until you attack the ideology behind it. And that can never be solved with like security.
You know, you could Stu to start doing that. You could actually criticize the guy you just had a fucking conversation with.
Measures. It has to be a broader cultural effort.
Which is why all of these men online, a lot of them, don't give a fuck about women's safety. Like, you know, we have the loudest
I don't think that she does either.
Voices in the room claiming to, you know, protect Emiru and care about, you know, violence against women. Blah, blah, blah. It's people like Ethan Klein, who is simultaneously launching misogynistic hate campaigns against countless women, including myself and you. I think of these like...
What the fuck? Dude, does she have Ethan Klein derangement syndrome? This entire video is basically a sweep for Dan Clancy when it comes to his downplaying of Emiru, okay? It starts off the video and says some dumbass motherfucking shit about how I don't even understand why Emiru's own security guard didn't detain the guy because like the previous years, her other bodyguard was banned from the event for detaining somebody that was aggressing onto her. That's why. Look, shit like that. What are you talking about? You're in the room with Dan Clancy having a fucking interview with him and you don't press him at all about creating a toxic atmosphere at all. You barely criticize the fact that the security guards didn't do anything in here. You didn't even watch Emiru's own fucking response to the situation. You don't know basic details. You don't know anything that's going on here. You didn't know that the guy that attacked her didn't even have a fucking badge and snuck in. You downplayed the fact that he jumped over a bunch of barriers because that's not necessarily a problem. That doesn't necessarily indicate anything. You're sitting here playing this fucking game where you're doing the best you can do in the circumstance to downplay the egregious actions of this guy attacking Emiru, and then you bring up fucking Ethan Klein. You are deranged. You are deranged. You have fucking Ethan Klein derangement syndrome. What the fuck does he have to do with anything? Your own boy, Hassan, was laughing at fucking people getting raped on October 7th. What are you talking about? This is insane. Holy fuck, dude. That's wild. This is insane.
live stream fail or this
Oh my
like these weird like drama slop accounts that have been posting every single thing that I have said about this Twitch incident, right? And trying to make it seem like somehow like I don't care about women's safety.
You don't give a fuck about women's safety. No, you don't give a shit.
Being crazy.
You don't care. You don't give a singular fuck about it. You don't care.
To the point that
you couldn't even be bothered to watch the girl that was assaulted, her response. What the hell are you talking about?
This female streamer, Cinna, who's very well known, who, you know, she was even saying like, oh, you know, Taylor Lorenz started repeating a bunch of libs of TikTok conspiracies about me. Like, no hate to Cinna. I don't think she probably even knows my work.
Knowing you, I believe whatever she says because like you're so dishonest.
Like, you know, this woman is probably dealing with a lot herself. But you see this content sort of repackaged to further misogynistic hate campaigns, right? To further this misogynist hate.
She's coping over Yeet, dude. She's pissed.
Hate campaign against me and you and others who actually report.
Girl, you know damn well, they weren't that strict. What the hell were you reporting on the TC floor? You're a poor journalist. You have to get your wristband scanned and couldn't get into a private area. Oh, yeah. Sorry, what?
You see this content sort of repackaged to further misogynistic hate campaigns, right? To further this misogynist hate campaign against me. And
I'm sorry. We have to acknowledge that like this is insane. Taylor Lorenz decided to put out okay, I just need people to understand like what exactly is she's crying about here. She got heat because she posted a clip before she even released her video. This was like a teaser before her video even came out. I'm like almost like that was one of the weirdest things about it. Is that, yeah, she even says here, full interview will be out on Tuesday podcast, blah, 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 blah. And in this video, she drops that she thinks Twitch security was pretty secure.
Earlier today that I guess this ban was allowed to cross multiple barriers at TwitchCon. Why should streamers trust Twitch to keep them safe at TwitchCon? Because I feel like simultaneously...
This is one of the things where she says simultaneously, it was bad, but it was also good. Like, this is what she said.
This has been such a secure event to the point that even like journalists have had struggled. Like, you know, it is very secure.
As somebody who's a journalist doesn't have to keep saying they're a journalist, for one. Number two, that's what people are upset about. The clip you put out, and then that person watched the clip you put out, and then I closed the video on accident. And then she had a response on Twitter about it.
she was even
She had a response because she was frustrated. Cinna reacts to Taylor Lorenz's defense of security at TwitchCon. Girl, you know damn well they weren't that strict, and that what the hell were you reporting on the TwitchCon floor? You're a poor journalist. You had to get your wristband scanned and couldn't get into a private area. Okay. She's criticizing you for fucking sweeping. That's what she's doing. In these little light taps. You didn't need to release a teaser that included this defense of Twitch in it. That's the thing too. Understand, especially when people clip videos, there's a reason they want to clip certain points. Okay? When you clip a point, when you put up a 2-minute clip, and part of that clip is saying that Twitch is actually super secure in many ways, you're doing that for a reason. You're not just doing that to plug your thing. You're doing that because you want to actively put information out there that defends Twitch for the way that they're interacting. Because that is a lot of what you do, is you sweep the fuck out of these events. I don't know what it is. It's like, oh, notice me, Hassan. Notice me, Dan. I don't really know what the fuck's going on. Hey, he gave me an interview. I'm a real journalist now. Yay, I'm gonna like sweep for him or something. Because that's what this comes off as. A lot of this is just like such. I don't like this. I don't like the energy that's coming out here, and for multiple reasons. That's why it was. It's not because of sexism. It's because she saw like what you said and was like, oh, that's gross. That's gross.
Report on gender-based violence. And I think that's what's so disturbing as well, is the weaponization of violence against women to further violent campaigns against women.
This is back to the basics of just like conservative rhetoric in general. And like spaces like Livestream Fails, they lean conservative. They use slurs. They make fun of marginalized people. Like they contribute to this very ideology that puts women in danger. It's all.
Why are we putting denims on the screen? Another Hassan defender joins with a different story. It's not a shock collar again. This is just criticizing them for being bad at relaying information.
People like they can.
The defense of Hassan is aged like milk. This is just denims. I don't really denims. Are you really the guy now defending a clear animal abuser only because ideology aligned with Hassan? Ew, people never gonna take you. Okay, so that's just denims defending Hassan for shocking his dog.
Contribute to these very ideology that puts women in danger. It's also so ironic to me that Ethan Klein would act like he cares about women's safety and women on Twitch and misogyny on Twitch, when I think about famously he like couldn't stop himself from laughing at QT Cinderella when she was talking about being deep faked and having her likeness exploited. Like,
here's the thing. What happened to QT Cinderella, it sucks. Frankly, I don't think that it was anything traumatizing. Somebody deepfaked you and everybody knew that it was you being deepfaked. Nobody thought it was actually you. And it just sucks that your like friend, like your boyfriend's best friend was jacking it to you. I get it. That sucks. Ethan made a joke. You could think it's inappropriate or not. Here, I don't know if you guys know this. Emiru was attacked. And Taylor Lorenz, who was in this this is her video, was so lazy and so uncaring about her attack, she couldn't even watch the girl's 48-minute long response about it and report the information there. So, like, you're sitting here giving Ethan Klein, what is this now? 3 years ago, 2 years ago, two and a half years ago, probably almost 3. This is January 2023. We're in, well, maybe it's only about 2, whatever. It doesn't matter. We're like almost 3 years in, giving him shit over this fucking take when you can't even be bothered to listen to this girl that you pretend to care about. What the fuck is happening?
He mocked her, and then when he tried to apologize for it, he like mocked her again. So it's like these individuals who are pushing these campaigns are so clearly coming at it from a bad faith perspective, because they demonstrably, not only do they not care about women's safety, but they are part of the problem.
Why do these people have like fucking Ethan Klein derangement syndrome?
Oh, great. I just opened Twitter and the top comment is Ethan Klein responds to Taylor Lorenz claiming he's leading a misogynistic crowd.
Oh, great. I just opened Twitter. We're in the middle of a video and I just opened Twitter. Why? Why are you so terminally online? Why are you looking at Twitter so much? Oop.
Campaign. I don't know what you're talking about, you lunatic psychopath. She's crazy. Keeps lecturing our community, which is majority female, about how I'm dangerous to women. Ethan Klein, women can also participate in misogynistic hate campaigns.
Oh my God.
They're actually often a core part of it.
I keep seeing people say, like, wait until you find out that most misogynistic comments are made by women. And I'm like, wait until you find out. Like, you guys know nothing about feminism. This has been a core feature of the feminist movement for its entire existence.
Johnny Depp trial survivor speaks out in new book. Women on jury were tougher on Amber Heard than the men. From my understanding, Amber Heard was kind of not great. Is this a light defense of Amber Heard's behavior?
It's like people who actually care about women's safety are fully aware that women perpetuate misogyny. It is like these misogynistic men who have no grasp of what they're even talking about.
And they tokenize women, right? They tokenize the women in their community to say like, oh, look, all these women support me. And it is such like Republican politics as well. I mean, you mentioned this is sort of this conservative ideology. I posted this online, but it's like, let me direct a torrent of her.
A lot of people on here are like, let me direct a torrent of harassment and abuse towards a female journalist and repeat right-wing smears about her to thousands of people to show how much I care about women's safety. Taylor Lorenz doesn't care about right-wing shit at all. She's part of the problem, right? So like her whole like entire like assault piece onto like the DNC for deciding to like they weren't, I don't think they were using dark money, but for them to decide to create like a behind the scenes structure where they're going to pay people to start advocating for left-wing ideas or Democrat ideas, and she shit on them while barely bring up the fact that conservatives do this much worse, and they take money from like Russia. She like lightly taps conservatives. Like, Taylor Lorenz, one of her strategies is to constantly whinge and infight with people who barely have any difference of agreement with people, just to seem more morally virtuous. That was what that article was to me. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about, right-wing shit here. What? You can't, what?
Harassment and abuse
like you think that people slightly left of what you pretend to be are worse than right-wingers. So
it's a female journalist and repeat right-wing smears about her to thousands of people to show how much I care about women's safety. Like it's also like you see this a lot in the UK where they weaponize or here, right, with immigrants, right, where they're weaponize, the rape of a woman by an undocumented person or violence against women to hate on trans women, to hate on marginalized groups, and women's pain and violence against women is so often weaponized to push right-wing reactionary causes, and this is no different.
You're saying that Ethan Klein is a right-wing reactionary. Okay. Gotcha.
It reminds me of-
You know what is so interesting about stuff like this? It's that like videos like this, like so she's bringing up how toxic and horrible spaces like Twitch are, and how like people, some of the top content creators on Twitch are like sexist and this, that, and the other thing, and they're fucking right leaning in bed. Doesn't bring up any names, but then Ethan Klein comes up, the guy who's like fucking, you know, he's definitely, I wouldn't even say super far left, but he's like left of center considerably. I guarantee you he believes in universal healthcare. I know that he could be sold on the idea of some kind of negative income tax. I know that he doesn't think that you should round up a bunch of illegal immigrants and kick them out of the country if they're like producing, like they're being like productive in America. I know he's criticized Israel. He criticizes like capitalism. Like, okay, but you won't bring up Asmongold. He would make sense to bring up if you're talking about toxic right-wing Twitch culture. Why is that? You know what I mean? Like, it's like you're not even standing on your shit here. You're criticizing Ethan Klein for what? And then you talk about fucking right-leaning reactionaries. Where the fuck is your energy for Asmongold? What the hell is going on? He's like the most popular Twitch streamer that spews like dog shit fucking right-wing talking points.
While campaigning, Donald Trump said that he would protect women whether they like it or not. And then as soon as he was put back in office, his administration defunded pathways for women to report when they were sexually violated by federal agents. So it's like you see this cycle over and over again where the idea of protecting women and women's safety has been so thoroughly weaponized by the right that it's actually used as a cudgel as they take away protections from women, as they objectify women, and ultimately as they enact this violence toward women.
Which is the ideology that a lot of these men support. Like, they do not support actual accountability. They don't want Twitch to rid itself of this culture of misogyny. It's a culture that they benefit from. A lot of these male Twitch streamers, they
like
benefit from.
Like, what's the name of them? Like, give me some prominent ones. I know Hassan would give you good boy points if you did that, you know, so you should want to do that.
From this culture of misogyny, they benefit, you know, by having women objectified. Like, they don't want to change the culture. They just want more security theater that doesn't keep women safe. And they don't actually care about women's safety.
100%. I think, like, when I was reading some of the commentary about this situation,
it's interesting she still won't say who the fuck she's talking about.
I even saw people using it as like another excuse to bring up Amber Heard from the perspective of like not believing that Amber Heard is a victim. And people on Twitch were major contributors to the idea that like Amber Heard was an abuser and she wasn't a victim. And I'm like, how can you sit there and not believe Amber Heard and pretend that you care about women's safety? If you don't...
Am I just not educated about Amber Heard? My understanding was it was basically like just a mutually toxic situation. So...
don't believe Amber Heard, just like bar none, like you don't care about women's safety. And time again, like this platform and every other platform have contributed to like these mass gaslighting events where women's pain is exacerbated under the guise of like caring about abuse. It's so ridiculous and it's so maddening. And these men don't, like, they choose not to see through it because they know that they will ultimately benefit from upholding these systems of misogyny.
I also think that, you know, I wrote about this recently in relation to like the Hassan Piker dog collar incident, but you see these out of context clips
Bro, we watched the fucking dog yelp after it got shocked. I don't know what to want me to tell you.
Constantly used and weaponized in these campaigns. And I think that actually that video of that person scanning their wristband and how misrepresented that was is like a perfect example of this. Like, people coalesce around a narrative and it's a motivated narrative. Like in this case, a lot of these top streamers hate Dan Clancy. I have no
Bro, you're the one that's going around. It's fucking Hassan narrative.
Allegiance to Dan Clancy. He could be a terrible CEO. Like, I've only reported the company like marginally, but like I'm not here to like cap for any tech CEO. So, you know, whatever. But they're sort of motivated to push him out and to show him as this failure. And they think that sort of like maybe leveraging this event will further that goal. And so they launched this like essentially a disinformation campaign where they're sort of like taking all these out of context clips, mischaracterizing them and using them to push this narrative. And it's really frustrating to me because we both reported on this a lot, but like the way people get information now is from this like Awk 3000 account or whatever, which is I guess some teenage, you know, streamer fan, like these sort of like these distributed news systems.
Dude, she's coping so hard, dude.
These Reddit accounts, etc. People that aren't doing actual...
She's pissed about it.
Reporting, right? People that aren't calling up the company that, you know, makes those scanners or calling up whatever, or they're just like emailing a company.
You couldn't even watch Emiru's fucking response to what happened to her. You're gonna sit here and morally chastise people? What the fuck are you talking about? It's fucking crazy.
customer service rep, right? Like in the Hassan dog collar situation, like they don't actually do any reporting. They don't go to look at the actual collar, right? They're just like doing slop content, basically. That's
Yeah, they just watch the dog get shocked. Like, God forbid they don't call the company. Like, what the fuck? What's the expectation here for these people? We just watch the shocking happen. That's not enough.
that mimics journalism. But they, even when presented with any sort of facts that counter their preconceived belief, they double down, they triple down. You can't.
It's you.
Cannot convince them that what they've seen is wrong because they keep saying, "Well, how can I?" So you're saying I can't trust my own eyes?
It's so exhausting.
You're saying that I can't trust my own eyes when I watch Kaya get shocked. So the problem is that this is what she's doing. She has this narrative that the clips can be put out of context. That these clips can be pushed out of context, right? Which is true. You can push clips out of context to communicate a different message. The problem is like, what's the context that would be needed to explain Hassan's dog yelping after he reaches over for something? There's really nothing else there that you could believe other than like, yeah, it seems like he shocked the dog. There's nothing missing there. Then we see a history of different things of him treating his dogs like shit. He's grabbing on one of his dog's tails. The dog, for whatever reason, sits nicely and quietly in the background of the streams constantly. That's fucking crazy to me, to be absolutely honest with you. That doesn't even make any sense to me that the dog would do that. We see him put her in a cage with another dog, or like a pen with another dog, and like him laughing as he hopes that Kaya gets bit and aggressed onto. That's not just boundary training. There's something weird about that. It's he gets getting enjoyment from the dog potentially getting harmed. We see a pattern of like bad behavior. We can't trust, like, what's the out of context stuff? What's the in context that we need to understand? There's nothing there. So she's playing a game where, like, what she's saying is true. You can push clips out of context 100%. That clip wasn't out of context. What's the context there? There's nothing reasonable or meaningfully explained that would change what happened there.
And it is so reminiscent of like the rhetoric that we saw during Deb v. Heard, which has
Oh my God.
informed so much of like how these events are consumed on the internet and who is granted credibility and who is taken seriously. I also think like another great ongoing example of why surveillance doesn't keep women safe is this ongoing viral discourse around the DoorDash TikTok incident.
All right. Well, you know what? I am definitely curious about what she has to say about that.
New Zealand. Ludwig, I'm
Wrong one.
Yes. For people that don't know, this DoorDash woman, this delivery woman came up to a door delivery. This man ordered delivery. The door was wide open. This man had his pants down and, was sort of appeared to be sleeping. We don't know if he was actually asleep. Theoretically, he was probably not asleep because he did order the DoorDash order and had exposed himself to this woman. She recorded that. She posted.
And then, but what I find hilarious is that she didn't even censor the video of him doing that. So, like, by your like kind of, I guess, admission almost, you don't think that he actually exposed himself to her because you didn't see anything. I guess I don't understand. You're so like, dude, she's just like, oh my God, dude. I mean, I don't think you see anything either, but dude, like, how inconsistent do you have to be? Like, this is killing me.
Posted that online. She was promptly fired from DoorDash for violating privacy guidelines. I guess like filming a customer without his consent. Okay, fine. But the point is that she recorded a sexual assault, as you mentioned.
Well, it wasn't a sexual assault. It wouldn't be considered that. It would be considered some kind of like indecent exposure. And it's still wrong. One, he was in New York, which means that if this did happen, if he did have his door wide open, it'd still be indecent exposure. You can't stand in front of your house with your dingle out, or you can't stand in the doorway of your house with your dingle out. It's indecent exposure. That's number one. Number two, there's a ton of disinformation campaigns going on around about how she actually opened the door. There's no proof to even close to it. Back that up. I've offered $500. I have gotten no videos. I said I'll give somebody $500 to prove to me, because they keep saying there's a ring cam footage. There's a ton of disinformation going out there. And I'm actually, to be absolutely honest with you, when it comes to this DoorDash girl, I have like I honestly almost believe that DoorDash is paying bot farms to send like tons and tons of disinformation around about this. Like there's Photoshop pictures of the door being closed, which are not true, and you could tell that they're not true because the literal text from the doors are the text from her original videos on the screen. There's ones of it's like closed or closed over or this or that. There's tons of people saying that it's fake, blah blah blah, or that there's DoorDash footage. There's nothing. I actually almost believe that The door, like, almost believe that like there's a fucking massive disinformation campaign. Like DoorDash is paying people. I'm not saying it's 100% true. I'm just saying like it's insane to me because I don't understand why people are so adamantly against everything she's saying. Just say that she overreacted and she never should have put it on the internet, because that's what I think. I think that her crying and saying a sexual assault was too much. Then again, she had just gotten fired, but because I don't think it was sexual assault, and she shouldn't have put it on the internet. But she should have reported him, and he should get like some kind of something. It is, even if he was drunk and it was an accident, it doesn't matter. You know, if you drink and drive, you don't get off the hook. You know what I mean? So even if, but frankly, I'm more and more every day on the side that it was probably intentional. I think it's kind of gross.
This led to this like days of discourse and abuse, and now we have this AI smear campaign happening right now. Where
this is not an AI smear campaign. You have no idea what you're talking about. I saw the girl respond herself. She said that this guy just has been consistently copying her videos word for word and making content out of it because that's what his content strategy is. Come on, Taylor. How many issues do we have to have here?
essentially she's being attacked and re-victimized, and people claiming all sorts of things about her.
100%. And it's like, that to me is such a perfect example of why surveillance doesn't keep women safe, because these types of clips can always be weaponized against women. Like, it's so frustrating.
I mean, they can be weaponized against anybody, but okay.
Because at the end of the day, like, if the ideology blames women for violence that happens to them,
Well, there was no violence that happened to her, but I understand what you're saying.
no amount of
There is a weird, massive disinformation campaign that, like, I don't understand, that loves to, like, blame her for everything. It's very strange.
security or proof or evidence will ever be enough. And we see this time and time again. And in fact, having all of this material has only served to make this woman less safe. But if she hadn't captured that,
I think that there are people who looked up her old stuff and found out that she, like, broke into somebody's apartment, like some abandoned apartment or something. There's so much weird shit going on with this story.
video, nobody would believe her. And even with that video, people still don't believe her. So it's like, it really is a lose-lose situation for women and girls, like, time and time again.
Exactly. I mean, I am just so appalled because
I'm so appalled that I made a video without watching the response of the girl who was actually attacked at TwitchCon. And I sat here and I swept to the best of my ability based on what I felt like I could get away with without people hating me, because that was what this video reads as to me.
when you see that video of the man,
And guys, by the way, I love women and I'm woke. I'm playing Ghost of Yote, and it's pretty good. I'd say it's pretty good. So I'm pretty much woke right now. So you guys can't even say I don't like women.
with his pants
Whoa.
down, right? Like, and of course we can't know the motivations, blah, 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 blah. Whether that was intentional or not, that is sexual abuse, right? Like that.
I know it's not sexual abuse. I don't think that that's sexual abuse. What? These two are very credible TikTokers, like lawyers. They're a TikTok lawyer couple, and they're always very credible. I just want to. We'll see what they have to say about this. I think that this is probably the best people to look at.
Okay, fine. We'll talk about the DoorDash thing.
A woman who worked for DoorDash dropped off a delivery at a man's house, only to discover that he was asleep naked on the couch, exposing himself to the doorway. She videoed the whole thing, reported to DoorDash.
Oh, look, they censored it. Wow, who would have thought that that was the right thing to do?
That she had been sexually assaulted, and posted it all
The
online.
internet blew up with everyone disagreeing on who the real victim here was. Was it the woman who was lured into an indecent exposure trap while just trying to do her job?
Or was it the man who might have accidentally fallen asleep and woke up to a very private video of himself all over the internet?
What does the law say?
Well, first of all, a lot of people are pointing out that the man was inside his own home, and can't you do whatever you want inside your house? Actually, no. In New York, where this happened, illegal indecent exposure doesn't actually have to be done in public. You can also do it inside your home as long as it's readily viewable from the
The
outside.
key issue is that you intended to be seen exposing yourself in a lewd manner. Lewd means you're not just nude, but you're exposing yourself for some kind of sexual
So
gratification.
the main issue for the man here is how open his door was when the woman walked up. If it was wide open, it could suggest that the man wanted the woman to see him. But if it was just barely open and she pushed it, then that would be another story. Everyone seems to have different opinions on whether the door was wide open or she pushed it open, and we can't find a clear answer.
As for the woman, the man could potentially bring a civil lawsuit against her for something like invasion of privacy or defamation. The invasion of privacy claim, again, hinges on whether the door was open or not when she arrived. If the door was open, then she didn't invade anything private.
And as for defamation, she's saying that he sexually assaulted her. And that term might get her in trouble here because under New York law and most laws, indecent exposure isn't the same thing as sexual assault. Actual physical contact is typically required for
Well, there you go.
sexual assault. Meaning door open or not, she
Oh, the lawyers that understand the law. I think I'm going to go with them.
could be on the hook for defamation. Although it's really just a semantic issue, so it'd be up to a jury.
Overall, the most obvious bad outcome for the woman is what happened to her. By sharing this video, she violated DoorDash's terms and conditions, which specifically state that Dashers won't share any personal information of customers, which in
Yeah, it makes sense why they banned her. Again, she should have just not put it on the internet, and I think that she would have had a much better case.
this case can include videoing the customer and showing the outside of his home. And DoorDash deactivated her account because of it. Okay, fine, we'll talk about the DoorDash.
So there you go. I would generally trust them more than our star journalist here.
That is appalling what happened. But people are litigating. Oh, well, why did she do this? Why did she do this?
The internet users are slamming Henderson for calling the incident sexual assault as the man was lying nude. Well, yeah, because it wouldn't be called sexual assault. Okay.
The video is so quickly weaponized against her. And that is what a lot of video evidence does, right? Like, I mean, the Amber Heard.
Well, she never should have put it onto the internet. I don't really understand that. Like, she should have never put it on the internet, and she should have dealt with it like accordingly. You know, I get them banned for DoorDash. She deserves to be banned for DoorDash, regardless of whether it was a mistake or not. And, you know, I would say, like, try to move on from it. That's the best that I would say.
I think it's a perfect example, too, where, like, you saw even photographs of her own bruises were litigated. Like, there is...
Well, yeah, of course they're going to be, because they're having an entire discussion about, like, whether, like, the abuse was one-sided or not.
No amount of evidence or surveillance or whatever, they could possibly vindicate a woman because people have already decided that the woman is the villain and the
Why are they defending Amber Heard? What the fuck?
woman is guilty and she is the aggressor and she is wrong in these situations.
Okay.
Also, like, it's worth noting that this stuff isn't new, because even predating a lot of the technology we have now, like, studies about bias show and have shown historically that you can show two people the exact same, like, audio recording, video clip, picture, or like wall of text, and they can both walk away being like, oh, well, it's clear as day. Like, my preconceived opinion is reflected in this evidence.
That's true, and we're kind of seeing that here. You're doing the same thing. Like, everybody's interpreting the information differently based on their life experience. Yes.
So it's like there's not like a universal understanding of what footage reveals, and in fact, it can so easily be weaponized against like victims. And
okay, or maybe everybody should weigh in on something, because maybe there's something there. Maybe the public has a decent opinion. I don't understand. Like, we're instantly just assuming that, like, video evidence is never good because sometimes people can misinterpret it. Like, what's happening here?
happens every single day.
I want to get back to TwitchCon because I
You thought this about Twitch? No, they go. She goes back and forth. They have a lot to say. They don't know how to say it in an organized capacity, and they typically just get everything wrong all the time.
do think, like, you know, we should talk about like kind of what should have been done and like what can be done to
Yeah, I think you should. Let's hear what you have to say.
actually fix this. Like a couple things too. I'll say.
Maybe the bodyguards or whoever the security should get fired or something. Maybe Dan Clancy should step down.
Is like, I don't know why Twitch has TwitchCon. I guess it must be a moneymaker for them, but no other platform has like an entire convention.
Didn't you say, what is VidCon for? Isn't VidCon for YouTube? What? I guess that's of YouTubers, TikTokers, etc. Okay. I guess I'm staying corrected.
Dedicated to that platform as far as I know. Like, I mean, YouTube sponsors VidCon, but even VidCon is so diminished, it seems perhaps counterproductive to even have this event. But if it
What does it matter if they have that's not what's being contested right now? What are you talking about?
does go forward, I do think that there are changes that need to be made. And like, it starts with confronting these systemic issues. Like, I think the first thing that they should do is work aggressively to change the culture of the platform, crack down on misogynistic hate speech, demonetize, you know, content creators that are.
I think that they should start with, punishing the people that attack people. They should actually get their bodyguards to be effective and actually do their fucking job is where I would start. That's just me. I know it's a super fucking hot take, right? But that's where I would start.
Are attacking women, brigading women, and start working to cultivate relationships with women content creators.
This goes for
What they really need to do is actually enforce their policies at TwitchCon, and then they need to figure out a way to get more women audience viewers to the platform, so it's not dominated by men, so that the culture generally shifts and there's less of an incentive to be a piece of dog shit on there.
number of social media platforms.
I should go to VidCon? I don't know, dude. I'll think about it.
But among like the ranks of the most followed people, you will always have like these violent misogynists who directly harm and endanger women on the platform, women in their audience, and nothing is done about that. And there is a trickle down effect where it's like, if some of the most followed people on Twitch face no repercussions.
I love how they talk about how they need to change the culture of the platform and all these different things, but they don't really blame Dan Clancy very much. Like, they are just like, yeah, he gave us PR answer, but there's nothing like really aggressive that's like, yeah, man, Dan Clancy was kind of a dick. There's nothing that was like, yeah, you know what, he's responsible, he's the leader, he doesn't do enough, he's looking at e-girls all the time, he does the... We don't really I feel like we're not being aggressive enough against. It's like she's trying to separate Dan Clancy from the problem at Twitch. He's the fucking issue, dude. Like he's the fucking problem.
Repercussions and are actually like they gain things from misogyny. They gain popularity. They enrich themselves. Like they gain status from being misogynistic.
Yeah, sure. The way that you make cultural changes is by like I don't know, enforcing rules. Like the rule of don't harass people.
As long as that is the case, it will trickle down into fan behavior, and people going to these types of conventions will learn from the people who basically rule this platform, who are the most visible people on this platform, that this type of behavior is not just tolerated, but encouraged. And then when those people aren't held accountable, it just perpetuates this cycle over and over and over again.
Who's the problem? Just say Dan Clancy.
When I speak to experts in gender-based violence, something that I hear time and time again is that we've never even tried to hold men accountable for
some things I hear is like, never mind, I'm not going to make a joke.
Violence against women. Like we've never even attempted to instill consequences, like widespread consequences for harming women. And so as long as that is the case, of course it will continue, because it's not just that there's no deterrent to this behavior, but it's actually rewarded by the platform and socially by other men.
Yeah. I mean, I think of this guy, Jake Lucky, who's this gamer who almost 500,000 followers.
Jake Lucky?
Quote tweeted this tweet that I posted about security and how actually Twitch was quite secure. And he quote tweeted this video of Neon acting abhorrently, right? And taking advantage of the fact that he had basically carte blanche to.
So he's mocking you for saying that that the event was safe. Right? So like down here it says, Lorenz said, you guys need to start living in reality. It's simply false to say that security at TwitchCon was non-existent when it was so insanely strict. And then you see instances of it not being strict. Like, for instance, the guy who attacked Emiru did not have a badge, and he still was managed to get bypass security because it's not very strict. So, like, you're eating your words constantly.
Do whatever he wanted at that convention because he had the highest level of access given his status as a streamer. And he goes, Twitch's security was insanely strict. And he shows Neon sitting behind Deshae Frost's meet and greet table. And as I said then, like, this man is a Twitch creator who is credentialed, who was invited. That's my whole point. Is that
No, it wasn't your point. Your point is to sweep. If you actually thought that Twitch needed to step it up and punish creators like Neon, then you wouldn't be leading with, yeah, actually it was pretty strict there. Why is that your main thing? Like you can have as many side points as you want, but your forward point, your leading point is that TwitchCon actually isn't that bad. That's the problem. And people understand this intuitively, but I'm going to explain it to people. The first thing that you typically say, especially with the most energy and that you're willing to die on, is what you believe more than anything else. So if you're going on a tangent before you even release your interview with Dan Clancy about how you think everything was safe and it was actually, or excuse me, thinks everything was super strict and yada 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 yada, and then afterwards you're like, yeah, people like Neon are bad. People are going to listen to what you're leading with and what you're putting out there the most. You're not leading with, no, Twitch wasn't strict enough. Because they're not. If Neon can act like a piece of shit, it means it's not strict. Neon acting like a piece of shit is not strict. It means that they're showing favoritism to people who are acting like a piece of shit. And like, you maybe agree with that point, but like, you're so all over the place. Your priority point is to like be like, nope, Twitch is actually not that bad. That's your priority point. Your priority point is to say that Twitch isn't that bad. Just letting you know, that is your priority point. That's not your secondary point. That's not your tertiary point. That is your priority point, because you keep leading with that. And that's what people are seeing. And they're going, wow, this is stupid. And so like, I don't understand why, even if you feel this strongly about it, why are you leading with this point so heavily? Why are you destroying your credibility? And who's left that's going to look at you and go like, oh, wait, she's credible. Like, it's ridiculous.
That, like, you have the worst people at the top acting like this. That trickles down. And
it doesn't matter. It still means the security is bad. Yes, it trickles down, but you're saying that this isn't one-off instance, while at the same time saying that there's a pattern. These two statements cannot coexist.
It's so disappointing because this bad faith guy, Jake, of course, gets almost 1 million views on his tweet, thousands and thousands of likes and retweets. And I'm like trying to respond.
Nice.
And I think I have, 37 retweets.
Because nobody respects you, Taylor. I'm sorry, but like, you don't speak in a way that like people generate credibility. You all guys need to start living in reality. It's simply false to say that security at TwitchCon was non-existent when it was so insanely strict that journalists couldn't even do their jobs and disabled people were forced to remove masks. What did you? Okay, so they made you take your mask off so they could see your face. Great. I'm making a longer video on this. See, this is your primary point, and this is the problem. And if I had to make an assumption, the reason why she thinks it was insanely strict is because she I don't know. I guess because she felt disaffected by it because like they stopped her and they made her I don't know. I don't even know. Like like what is it that what it is? Are you feeling upset? Are you taking it personally that they specifically stopped you? Like is that what the fucking problem is? I don't understand it.
And just a torrent of misogynistic hate towards me, in his replies. So even
it must be so easy to just write everything off as like misogynistic, huh?
After the bad behavior coming from the top at TwitchCon, the bad behavior is continuing online, and they're continuing to drive hate and harassment towards women, using violence against women as this sort of pretense on the internet. I think we just need to call out this behavior and start listening to actual women.
It's so clearly bad.
I am. I'm listening to Emiru. I actually turned her stream on and I watched her response. That's the biggest virtue signal of this video, is that she's telling us to listen to women as she refused to watch Emiru's full statement, which can be understood within the first minute of the video. You can tell in the first minute of the video that she's not listening to other women. There you go. She's being hypocritical. Before she was saying that just because women just because women like Ethan Klein or in Ethan Klein's audience doesn't mean that Ethan Klein or those women can't be sexist towards women. And now you're sitting here and you're telling us to listen to women when you haven't even listened to the woman who was attacked at TwitchCon. Okay, good job. It's crazy.
Faith, because it's like, okay, if you agree that this streamer is misogynistic, then surely you're gonna like continue to call this person out, and surely like you'll consistently denounce this behavior in all forms. No, of course not. They're this kind of tweet, like in itself is bad faith harassment of women, like as you just said. It's just under the guise of like, oh, you guys are in the wrong. And it is
these guys have like 2020 TikTok energy. This is fucking crazy.
So exhausting because all of the people who are joining in on this bandwagon, they all know what they're doing. They all know that they don't care about women. But when you are arguing in bad faith, you have no requirement to like be morally consistent. You have no requirement to actually believe the things you say. And everyone else joining in on this bandwagon comes from the exact same perspective. And so nothing will be done. And if TwitchCon were to continue happening, then this behavior will continue happening because no one in the community actually cares about it. They just want.
You guys can't even say that it's Dan Clancy's fault. So I don't know why you're talking as if we're pretending that we're going to care about what you have to say.
Want to use it as an
the person who is at fault is Dan Clancy for not changing the culture. That's it. They are unwilling to say that. They give him a little slap on the wrist. Oh, we give a PR answer. Wow, great criticism. Thanks. And they dance around that point.
Example to weaponize against their own political enemies. I think the fact that like Hassan has been brought up in regards to this so many times gives the.
If you're attending TwitchCon, please walk out. There are many other things to do in San Diego. Okay, Tectone trying to farm Emiru's assault for a proxy war against Hassan. I don't know. This is a random person. What are you talking about? Who's bringing up Hassan right now? Some random TikToker? Tweeter? What do you call people who tweet? What?
Entire game away. Because what on earth does that have to do with these incidents? Nothing. But this is political gaslighting, like in its purest form. And all of these communities love engaging in it.
The Hassan stuff is so.
Nobody brought up Hassan. What the fuck are you talking about, dude? Some random Twitter person brought up Hassan. And why are you guys so obsessively adding Ethan and Hassan into this conversation?
Oh, appalling, because like the first thing you'll hear, and people were literally saying this as well, like after I interviewed Dan Clancy. Again, I'm a mainstream technology reporter, right? Like I also.
What are you talking about? All you do is complain about online shit.
So interview Twitch's head of product. I interview leaders of tech companies all the time. Not only did Dan Clancy speak to me, he spoke to Bloomberg, like he speaks to other technology journalists. But on the internet, if you listen to these accounts, it's all just like, it's Taylor's relationship with Hassan. And, you know, that's why he's talking to her because of some Hassan thing. She wants to fuck Hassan. She's obsessed with Hassan. Like it's.
Wow, facts. Dude, you brought up Hassan. You brought up Hassan. Guys, I just want you to know, this is not what podcasting is, all right? You don't just trauma them. No, listen, not for nothing, but like, you're not a streamer. You're not doing a podcast. You're supposed to be doing a video about TwitchCon, and right now you are rambling. You brought up Hassan so that you could talk about Hassan. This isn't a podcast. You're just bringing him up as like a way, or maybe it is a podcast. I guess it is a podcast. It feels like this is supposed to be a video about TwitchCon being bad, and now we're rambling about Hassan. We brought up Hassan randomly. It just feels like it's not where it's supposed to come from. It just feels ridiculous.
Disgusting. And it's this dismissal also of my own credentials as a journalist, like, and report, what reporters do. It's always sort of like reframing this woman and her accomplishments or her career in the context of this man and this man streamer, right?
The fuck are you talking about? Because you have no substance on your own. That's why people compare you to Hassan. You very clearly sweep for Hassan, and you have no substance of your, what the fuck? You have no substance of your own. So people are like calling that out, that you sweep as far as fuck for him. Like, that's what it is.
Also seen like viral posts.
Nobody's saying Emiru doesn't deserve her place as a content creator. Like, what are you talking about?
Taking Emiru's response where she explains the situation and turning it into a meme and saying that like she's being black-pilled.
This is the exact moment Emiru got red-pilled. They didn't even say black pill. Just wait and see. I don't really know what the fuck he's talking about. Grums is an idiot. You didn't even watch it. So what are you saying?
So basically, they are using this incident to say that like women who are victimized are becoming conservative and holding conservative ideology.
Well, I don't think blackpilling is conservative. Isn't blackpilling just like doomer pilled? Okay.
As a result, the sad thing about that is that there is truth to the idea that like when women experience systemic misogyny and sexism, it does sometimes like lead to people becoming more conservative because it's like such a backwards ideology that is just so propagandistic in nature.
Or maybe it's because Dan Clancy, who favors Hassan, who's supposed to be left leaning, doesn't actually care about women and won't create a safe environment for women. Maybe that's why, if she is actually going more conservative, which I don't even know what the fuck he's talking about. He sounds like a dingus, whatever the Grums was saying. But like, maybe that makes more sense.
It's the same thing where it's like when conservative far-right groups take examples of like white women being abused or even murdered by like men of color, they will take those incidences and they will weaponize it against entire immigrant communities in support of their far-right ideologies. And they regularly do this, like despite the pleas of the families of these women and even of these women themselves to not weaponize these cases. But it just goes to show in itself, this is a form of objectification of women. Like they don't actually care that she was violated. They don't actually care that she was assaulted. They just want to further objectify her and use her to push their own ideology.
Exactly. And I think it's so funny that this same Jake Lucky guy, who's of course like dunking on me or whatever, is also boosting this clip of this guy, American Dad Live, asking Dan Clancy basically like, why hasn't he banned Hassan? Like that's the subtext. He's saying like, would he properly enforce certain streamers, what certain streamers have said that America deserved 9/11, veterans deserve PTSD. It's basically,
again, she brought up Hassan.
Basically, like, why haven't you deplatformed the people that I don't like? And, boosting this conservative, bad faith American dad guy as if he's holding like Twitch accountable in some way.
And like the truth of the matter is, politically speaking, there is misogyny on like all sides of the aisle. Like there's not like one place politically where you can go where like women are actually taken seriously. However, like generally speaking, most people who actually value women and who actually oppose misogyny are going to be progressives. So the fact that like all of this comes back to this like conservative agenda just goes to show like how bad faith it is. And it just like, it blows my mind that people are still falling for this idea that like conservatives actually care about women. They don't. Like they're just like objectifying and using violence against women as a way to further an agenda that is, again, objectifying and violent toward women.
I don't know. I mean, I think it's going to be so hard for Twitch, to ban streaming. Like this is a streaming convention. I highly doubt that they're going to ban live streaming at the live streaming convention, if only because on the actual floor of the convention, like there are so many booths set up for live streaming and there are all these companies that want to demo their
Why the fuck would Twitch ban streaming? What the fuck are you talking about?
Technology. And so they're showing off live streaming. But I do think that there's just a cultural shift that can happen. I don't know if you've attended the National Association of Broadcasters conference in Vegas. It's this massive, there's tens of thousands of people that go. It's huge. It takes over like the Vegas Convention Center. And it's for broadcasters. And there's a huge live streaming aspect. Like they invite a lot of streamers. It's all basically like TV news people from around the country, but anybody that sort of broadcasts live footage. There are lots of content creators. They have an entire creator track, but you don't see this type of behavior because it's a professional event. And it's very focused on like professionalism. And, you have people live streaming all day and demoing their technology, but there's not this sort of antagonistic energy to it. I don't know if there's a way for them to automatically ban Rumble creators. Obviously, I think certain people should be banned from the venue. I don't think Jack Doherty was allowed in the venue even in this year. But I feel like culturally they have to do something to change the behavior on Twitch, because until then, I don't think the platform will be successful. I think it will continue to remain niche. And let's be real, I bought this in my interview today.
Niche? Is it a niche platform? What the fuck?
Dan Clancy, this is the 4th year that Twitch has seen declining user base. And yes, it's still up from 2016 or whatever. But when you look at the broader social landscape and ecosystem, Twitch is down here, right? We have YouTube, TikTok, Meta, then there's sort of like these like lower tier platforms. And I just don't think that the platform will scale. And simultaneously, we do have a lot more women entering the live streaming space. I mentioned Amazon itself has live streaming now for shopping primarily, but you have women live streaming on the Like to Know It app, on Instagram Live.
Do you have like a plug for this Like to Know It app or something?
Have a lot of lifestyle influencers going live all the time. Like TikTok Live, of course, is massive, and they're trying to get people to multi-stream on TikTok Live. Not that any of those spaces are safe for women. They all.
I feel like Twitch is as niche as streaming is. It's just falling off and dying. It's not niche. It's a dying platform because it doesn't know how to keep up. I mean, I agree with that, but calling it niche is just so strange to me. Niche is just not the right word I would use for that.
Have their own problems, but I think Twitch.
Ooh, that's crazy.
Seems to be sort of further and further declining. And in that sense, I do think it's a failure, of Dan Clancy to not change that.
Whoa, she finally said it was a failure of Dan Clancy to not change the culture. 38 minutes into a 46-minute video. Why is this at the tail end of the video? I hate that. It's intentional, by the way. People lead with what they want to lead. And she did not. She could have said this at the end, and she could have started a highlight with that. This was the last thing she wanted to say, was to blame Dan Clancy for it. And the reason that she's doing it, if I had to guess, was because she's trying to say, no, I actually said that. You said it at the end. You didn't say it when it was relevant. You said it at the end. And there's a reason for that. Why weren't you saying this while you're talking about what needs to be restructured? You're putting all the accountability on Twitch. Not even bringing up Dan Clancy until the end of the video in any meaningful capacity. Like, yeah, I think it is actually his fault. Wow, great.
Yeah, and I think that it is like it'd be very difficult to change the culture of a platform that I think particularly grew around misogyny. Like, it would take so much work. I don't think it's a project that could be accomplished within the span of a year. It's also like such a hard thing to do when it's ultimately reflective. Like, the culture on Twitch is reflective of the broader culture of misogyny. And the project of dismantling misogyny is one that will continue forever. It will never be finished. And so I think that like it's a really difficult job to do, but what they're doing now they're not even really trying to like dismantle misogyny. They're not even having the conversation. So it would at least have to start there. And I think like your question of like why there aren't more women on the platform is such a good one, because it really gets to the heart of the issue of like, if the culture doesn't even accept women to begin with, then of course you will continue to have these issues.
And of course, they're not going to do any of this when they're potentially about to be hauled in front of Congress under a Trump administration. I asked Dan Clancy about this in my interview, but there was this hearing, it was postponed, the government shut down. I think they will eventually have the hearing where they're pulling up the CEOs of Discord, Steam, Reddit, and Twitch following the Charlie Kirk shooting, arguing that it's radical, whatever. Essentially, Twitch is the one platform where like Hassan Piker basically is. I think all of this is...
Is it Hassan? Oh, okay. I'm surprised you brought him up.
An effort to basically deplatform him and other sort of leftists on Twitch. Twitch is also the one platform that hasn't caved to government pressure yet to censor speech. And I think that...
Well, wouldn't that be because you said it was a niche platform? So wouldn't it just be because they're not relevant, like you said?
That's going to be harder and harder to do. So I highly doubt that they're going to like turn around and start, banning misogynistic streamers. I think that would just so quickly be weaponized against them by the Trump administration and would be used to potentially try to get the platform shut down or to punish it in some way.
100%. And I think that like when I saw
Hassan Parker,
all of this unfolding on social media, that was my first thought, is like to think about the political backdrop and the context under which all of this is happening, which is that Twitch is being subjected to like a very highly funded, like very specific, like bad faith campaign around issues that they do intersect with women's safety, but they are so far removed from like the topic of discussion around like this specific assault or this specific environment. But it's so hard to have a conversation about it without recognizing that like so much of this stems from that bad faith attempt to ultimately deplatform Hassan Piker and to punish Twitch for allowing like this type of progressive anti-Israel speech.
Yeah, because Twitch is the one platform, because it's live
I don't think I feel like it's hard. It's a hard take to say people are criticizing anti-Israel speech, because like right now that's not even close. What?
streaming, it doesn't have that sort of like real-time moderation. So of course you can't criticize Israel on TikTok, you can't criticize Israel on Meta, you can't criticize Israel on YouTube.
What the fuck are you talking about? You can criticize them on all. That's all I see is people criticizing them. What are you talking? I mean, I think that Israel might have had. Did Israel? Somebody who bought it? Did they buy TikTok? That might just be the fucking bullshit. Hold on. No, they didn't. Just get rid of that. Just edit this out, August, so we don't get banned by Israel. No, I'm just kidding. Just edit this out though, for real. But like there's criticism all over these platforms. What are you talking about? It's constant. It's constantly all over these platforms. What the fuck is she talking about?
Twitch is a place that one streamer, which is Hassan, and then a few other smaller ones, of course, like Twitch is overwhelmingly not a progressive space, but have been able to speak out. We saw Creators for Palestine happen with Twitch. I wrote about this actually a year ago about how Twitch had become this bastion for leftist sort of content. And I think that the government is very eager to eradicate that. And I do think that they will be successful, and that will only exacerbate the problem of, harassment and misogyny.
Any conversation.
It's crazy to bring this up now when there is like literally the right wing people who don't like Jews are all over social media right now, and they're getting like unbanned. Like even YouTube is like, we're going to start unbanning some people, some pretty spicy people. So this is kind of a tough take to even bring this up, to even try to use this one. It doesn't even make sense. But okay.
About like what's happening at that level. It's no coincidence that this rhetoric of like men need to protect women and like federal police and agents need to protect women, it coexists with exactly what the Trump administration is doing. It's literally the same ideology.
I just want to reiterate again that I'm so disgusted by the response from these bad faith trolls saying that people like me, or I'm sure they're going to say this about you, don't care about gender-based violence, don't care about...
Again, you didn't even watch you didn't even watch Emiru's fucking video about this. It kind of makes it seem like, yeah, you don't care.
Women's safety, something that we both have dedicated a significant portion of our careers to, you especially even more. But like...
considering, again, you haven't even watched her video, it's hard to actually believe that.
I mean, I wrote about Gamergate extensively. I covered this in my book. Writing about the weaponization of the internet against women is something that I have written about and experienced very publicly for years and years. And so to say, yes, Twitch was very secure. Yes, they actually had way more security than other conventions. But
you said that the amount of security doesn't mean anything, so I don't really understand. You're like all over the fucking place with this. It's insane.
Not make it safe. That is not like what? Simping for Twitch and other conventions. That does not make it safe.
Oh my God, dude. She's just, there's no reason to like listen to her anymore. She's saying, hey, just because the event was secure doesn't make it safe. Nobody believes that you believe that. Nobody believes that. The amount of security there doesn't make it more secure. The effectiveness of the security makes it more secure. I feel like you know that. And I feel like the fact that you're trying to play this weird semantic game, it only like appeals to people who are just not operating at 100%. That's all I'm going to say. It doesn't make any sense what you're saying. What the fuck are you on about?
That is not like simping for Twitch or whatever, which I'm very critical of. That is...
Oh, what? You're very critical of? What the fuck are you talking about? What are you talking about?
Not defending a corporation. Fuck all these corporations. Fuck Amazon especially. It
fuck
is
Amazon.
Simply trying to redirect the conversation.
Hassan's audience like me.
Towards the root problem and the fact that this is a bad faith campaign. Actually,
everything's bad faith. If you just keep calling something bad faith, you win. That's pretty much what we're hearing here.
Aimed at distracting people from the real problem, which is misogynistic abuse and hate and harassment. And that underpins all of this. And you can never have safety for women until that root problem is fixed, because you can have all the security theater in the world. It's not going to prevent the violence against women that we saw this year at TwitchCon.
You're totally right. And I think that like if I could reiterate one message for people to take away, it's that security theater does not protect women. It is a psychological sort of construct to make people feel safe that ignores all of these root issues. Increased policing does not protect women. Militarization does not protect women. And these sort of conservative ideologies around like protecting women with men, at their root cause, it just endangers women more. So like if I could have people take one thing away from this, it would be that it is about dismantling misogyny. It is not about enacting more control and more surveillance around women in their lives.
Yeah, I saw one Twitch streamer who I love, but was even saying, and I'm sure maybe he was saying it in like a joking way, but like, oh, you know, too many of the security guards at Twitch were twinks. Like they were
Oh, what is that? Is that like some kind of bad thing too?
small. We need like big, burly men to be security guards. And I'm sure he was joking, but it's like these
Based? I don't know. Seems like they need to just do something.
little things that drive me crazy because, as you said, like having big burly men around does not inherently make women safe.
I'm telling you, big burly men are usually more an intimidating presence. If you got a bunch of Papa Guts around there that are actually going to do something, if somebody fucking aggresses onto a woman, you're probably going to be a little bit safer than, I don't know, a bunch of Jack Dohertys walking around. I'm just saying, dude. I'm just saying, bro. I mean, give me a fucking break. What I'm hearing is that there's never anything that could have been done. I don't know. Okay. By the way, 6'4"? 6'4", dude? 6'4", bro? What the fuck? By the way, somebody said that fight was hard. That was easy, dude. That was easy as fuck.
24/7 IRL live streamers around does not inherently make women safe. You know, having all the kind of like wristband bullshit in the world, like, again, should we have a baseline level of security? Yes. But all of that stuff will not prevent so much of the just disgusting stuff that women had to deal with at this year's convention. And
one of those disgusting things, Taylor Lorenz not actually listening to the woman that was assaulted. So.
Previous year's convention. And I think that Twitch needs a radical culture change. And I think the influencer world generally needs to confront its misogyny problem, because although Twitch is the sort of the nexus of a lot of this stuff, it's all over Reddit. It's all over YouTube. It's all over Twitter. Like it is this like network of hate that spreads across the entire internet.
Yeah. So true, hate will never make women safer. It will only put them in more danger.
Well, Kat, thank you so much for...
Well, Kat, I don't know what credibility you had, but good thing you attached yourself to Taylor, because it's definitely going to skyrocket.
For joining me today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.
That's it for this week's Free Speech Friday. If you like my work, please support me on Patreon via the link below, or buy a paid subscription to my tech and online culture newsletter, UserMag, at usermag.co. That's usermag.co. You can also get my newsletter through my Patreon. I currently don't have any brand partnerships right now, so even just the tiniest support makes a huge difference. Thanks for watching, and I'll be back next week with a brand new episode of Free Speech Friday.
I love that. Thank you so much, Taylor. That was my favorite video of all time. Beautiful stuff.